Wow, that was bad. God bless football, Billy Gill.
God bless football, Mikey, eh?
God bless football, Stugotz.
What a weekend. What a weekend. We had a football game last night. You know what else we have, guys? We have sponsors. We have a lot of sponsors,
Okay.
including Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code GBF for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Football was played last night, Billy. It was exciting, kind of.
It was exciting leading into it, right? Was the game great? Honestly,
No.
was the game great?
No, great if you had the Lions, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but are the Lions good? Because, like, I didn't watch it. I'm like, oh, wow, the Lions are really good.
I know no Chris Jones. I know Travis Kelce was not there. He's pretty important to that team, to that offense. Mahomes was not great last night, although that interception was more on Tony than it was on Patrick Mahomes. And Kadarius Toney was that's Mike's guy right there. He's always raving about him. He was awful, god awful last night in that football game. Cost them the football game. But I know no Chris Jones. I know no Travis Kelce. You still have to give the Lions credit. They were hyped up headed into the season. I want to play for Dan Campbell. I love that guy. The Lions went into Arrowhead and won a big game, and you got to give them credit for doing so.
Is Travis Kelce the only person on the Chiefs that knows how to catch the ball? Because it just seemed like every pass that Mahomes threw, somebody wasn't catching it. Somebody was dropping it.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how frustrating that must be because he's running around for his life and he's making all these plays. He's throwing the ball down the field and Sky Moore is just swatting the ball down. And Kadarius Toney's like, no, defense, you take it. I don't want it. You look like hot potato.
Yeah. What's the matter, Billy?
I feel like it's so early and I don't think I should do this and I don't know that I want to do this.
Oh, boys, do it. I want you to do it. I know what you want to do, and I want you to do it.
And Travis Kelce was hurt, so I obviously we didn't see the Chiefs, but
do it.
They didn't look the same. I feel like
you did it.
They didn't look the same. Something just they didn't look the same. And obviously Travis Kelce hurt, but I was like, this team very beatable, and obviously they lost. So it's not like, you know, I'm going out on a limb saying that, but they didn't have that thing. I think the spark was gone for me. I think I fell out of love with them. Yeah.
Because, Billy, we said 2 years ago, something's different in Kansas City. Now, we were wrong because they went on to win the Super Bowl last year.
No, we were right that year.
Yeah, you're right. And I think we're going to be right again this year because I do think something is off in Kansas City.
Well, we know what was off yesterday, but, you know. You don't want to do it, huh? I was
because you're teetering on doing it. Like you're doing it, but you're not really doing it. Do you actually want to do it?
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
And this is a shameful admission. I fell asleep during the game. I woke up and I had to rewind to watch part of it because I fell asleep during the game. And if we were primetime Chiefs, if we were, full throttle Chiefs, it would have been like, wow, this is great. I can't believe what I'm watching. This is so exciting. And nope, put me to sleep.
Because when the Chiefs are clicking on all cylinders, you cannot sleep, right?
Well, and also, like, there were times that it seemed like the Lions just could not move the football. And it was like, how is this game even close? Yeah. How is this game even still as close as it is? And then they end up winning the game. It just, I didn't love it. I didn't love the first
the game turned 14-7. The Chiefs are up and they're driving down the field, and Mahomes throws a perfect pass to Toney, and he bobbles it, and the Lions take it back. It's 14-14, and the Lions go on from there. I mean, I'm with you, Billy. Listen, if you don't want to say it, I'll say it. I mean, the Chiefs aren't making the playoffs. How about that?
I didn't say that.
I know. You didn't want to say it, so I said it for you. Okay?
I didn't say that. Didn't Peter King have the, and this is like a page out of the Chris Sims book if I ever saw one. Didn't Peter King have the Jaguars hosting the AFC title game, I think? This year, it was something crazy like that, and then he had the Chiefs at 2. And I'm like, oh boy, like what? We're just being silly now. What are we even doing?
Right. Chris Sims will join us on this episode of God Bless Football.
I had a highlight that I wanted to ask if you guys saw because I thought it was great from the game yesterday, and it was a commercial. And I don't know how close attention you guys were playing to the commercial, and I feel like Mikey may know the commercial that I'm going to talk about here.
Is it the script?
It was the script commercial. Yes! I thought it was so great. So Keegan-Michael Key is there, and he's like, leading a table read of the NFL script commercial. I thought it was incredible because like that's such a callback to a joke that was going on last year where Arian Foster was on Barstool and he was saying like, yeah, every year we got a script for how the season was supposed to play out, and like completely like straight face walk through like, yeah, every year this was supposed to be exactly what we did and we would practice it and run through it and blah, blah. And then the NFL made a commercial with the script, which I thought was incredible by them.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the commercial because every time the game went to commercial, I went to the U.S. Open. That's what I was doing last night.
It was a star-studded commercial. So guys, you remember like the NFL 100 commercial where you had all the players like in a room and they were all like, it was kind of like that, not to that level, but there was a bunch of like named people, and then Patrick Mahomes was on Zoom because I guess they couldn't get him like in the room or whatever. But they had like a bunch of players there. Jalen Ramsey was there. He said, I thought this was a dress rehearsal, and he was in his full uniform. Just little jokes aplenty there. And then someone suggested like, what if we just write out Patrick Mahomes all together? And then that's when he's like on Zoom and he's like, hey, what's going on here?
It's a great joke. Just write him out. It was a great
funny
joke.
Gotta be honest with you. I can't believe that we're like 4 minutes into the first in-season episode of God Bless Football this year, and I'm breaking down a commercial instead of the actual game.
I love that. Listen, Billy is already on record as saying the Chiefs will not make the playoffs. I said it for him. He didn't want to say it. But Billy, another thing we were right about is Sean McVay, may have won the battle, but lost the war in terms of Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford. Long-term, Jared Goff is good, man. He's good. Is he not?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's fine. I don't know that my takeaway from yesterday is Jared Goff is good.
Why? He had a decent game. No?
Yeah, he's fine.
What do you mean he's fine? He went to Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes.
He looked really good.
He did. He looked good, Billy. He looked poised. He looked good. You were sleeping.
I mean, if he was great, I wouldn't have been asleep. So
in between the commercials and the nap, Jared Goff looked really good.
Yeah.
Time out. I want to get this, like, please. I need to get this straight, okay, for myself and for the audience. Were you sleeping because the Chiefs were boring or because the Lions were boring? Which were both?
I was sleeping.
Or because you have two kids.
Yeah, because I have two kids and I spent the whole day editing and recording. And by the time it's 11 o'clock at night, I'm usually in bed. So when we hit...
And that Marlins game was over early.
Yeah, that wasn't a good game yesterday. And yesterday was like the rare day that like we actually successfully... So one of my daughters had to go to the doctor and get like shots and stuff. So like she was like under the weather and she was like out, right? Because she had like medicine and stuff. So like she was like knocked out. And then my other daughter finally like had like a decent like early evening sleep situation going on. So it was just quiet. Like there was just nothing going on. And I'm watching the game and I'm like, whew. I sat on the floor, like on one of the kids' mats on the floor, and had my back on the couch, put a blanket over me, and then just knocked out.
Big exhale and just fell asleep. Yeah. Been there, Billy.
Did you see Joe Burrow sign a new deal?
5 years, $275 million, the richest contract in NFL history. It will be eclipsed by someone else very, very soon. The next quarterback that signs one. $55 million a year, and he's worth every penny.
I have a strategy question. If you're a team, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't you just, if you know you're going to have to sign your quarterback and you're going to do it, just do it right away, because then you don't have to outdo someone that just signed 2 months before. You know what I mean? Like if Joe Burrow signed right before the offseason, or right when the offseason started, they probably would have saved a ton of money. But instead, they wait and they have other people get signed, and they're like, oh, well, Joe has to be the highest paid now, so we have to keep going up.
Well, the agents know that, which is why they're like, no, we're not going to do that. Just like we're going to ask for $400 million and wait to see what that guy signs for, and then go, oh, okay, we'll just beat that by $1 million. I
want to get back to that, but speaking of agents, did you see who Chris Jones brought to the game last night? His agent. He was sitting right next to him at Arrowhead Stadium.
Wasn't that a little weird to be in the stadium
with your agent?
You're like, I should be there.
Yeah, right. They're struggling at halftime. The agent walks down, tries to negotiate his deal. It's funny.
Do you think he asked for a ticket? He was like, hey, can I get a ticket for tonight? And they're like, no. Get your ass on the field.
I think he bought them from Game Time. That's where he got his tickets.
Wow. What promo code did you use, do you think? Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Promo code GBF. $20 off. Terms apply. You know what that means, Stugotz.
I don't.
Stugotz.
What?
It's time.
You know what that music
What?
means.
It's we do this every time of year. You know what that music means.
This time of year, every year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we do. You got to speak up a little bit because it's a little loud. It's time for the Fast Twitch Fearless Competitor of the Week.
Oh, it's that time. Duh. I forgot.
How could you forget? We do it every year.
Every year. Week one.
Brought to you by Fast Twitch.
Uh-huh.
So this, for those of you who don't remember, this is where we go.
Did you ask me if I knew what that music bed meant?
Yeah.
I knew what it meant.
Yeah.
I apologize.
It's time for the Fast Twitch Fearless Competitor.
I'm sorry.
Powered by
Listen,
Fast Twitch Energy Drink.
Week one, I'm rusty. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay, to both of you.
Our audience knew what it
staple
meant.
of the show. We do it every year. Yes. Yep.
So now we go around and we predict who we think is going to be our Fast Twitch Competitor of the Week, powered by Fast Twitch Energy Drink.
Okay. Do I have to speak loudly anymore? Or can I
No,
just...
music stops. Yeah.
We took the music down.
Mike, yeah, you going first or?
Sure, I'm going to go with my Fast Twitch player of the week is going to be Tyreek Hill. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. I think he's going to. Well, that's why I went first. I think he's going to have a big game. Plus, he's twitchy, fast.
Ooh, twitchy. I like that. Billy, who you
Come
going
back
with?
to me. I lost mine. No, you know what? I do know who my Fast Twitch player of the week is going to be.
Who?
Powered by Fast Twitch Energy Drink.
Take Jalen Waddle, please.
Austin Eckler will be my Fast Twitch player
Nice.
of the week, and he's going to be joining us this season. He's not on this episode, but he will be back this season, which is very exciting.
I'm glad you brought that up. There are a couple of things that a couple of people, segments our audience has grown to love. Austin Eckler is one of them. He will be joining us every week, I believe, starting next week, as Billy just said. Was with us every week last year. And also Mojo, Gronk, K-Funk, Jabba, and of course, Carl Douglas will be on with us. They're not on this week. We apologize. Mojo had some stuff to deal with, but they will be joining us next week, and we'll be making. So we replace them with 2 Chainz. Okay, that's what.
Yeah,
we
2
did
Chainz
this
is
week.
joining us today, which is very exciting. K-Funk didn't have things going on, and he called me twice yesterday, and I need to call him back.
Oh, okay. But only Mojo had things going on. K-Funk had nothing as usual going on.
Well, you know.
But those guys will be joining us. All right. So
So
Billy,
is K-Funk your Fast Twitch player of the week? What
Yeah,
we got
Stugotz,
there,
who's
Stugotz?
Who's your Fast Twitch player of the week? Don't change the topic.
I'm not, but I just want to reset it real quick. Mikey, you went with Tyreek Hill, so you stole my thunder. Billy, you went with whom?
Austin Eckler.
Oh, Austin Eckler, who's going to join us. That led me into the segue of Austin Eckler will be with us every single week. Thank you for doing that. All right, let me think of my Fast Twitch player of the week, I guess. I'm going to go with, this is a tough one. Jamar Chase. I'm going Jamar Chase, Cincinnati Bengals. How about that? He is my Fast Twitch guy. He's twitchy, you know?
Well, there you have it. Those were our Fast Twitch Fearless Competitors of the Week, powered by Fast Twitch Energy Drink.
A tradition unlike any other.
Gosh, I love it. Football's back.
God bless it.
It's not retiring because of the injury, Chris. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. He shouldn't. I mean, if I don't retire from losing his spleen, he shouldn't retire from hurting his foot.
Right.
I mean, okay. But wait, so more importantly, are we working on losing weight now that we don't break the other foot?
It's a fair question.
No.
Well, come on, Mikey A. Mikey A. You need to come and hang out with me, and I need to put you through a workout and a diet.
I've been saying that for a long time. I've been saying that for a long time.
Sims, you have no time, man. Mikey A would come to work out with you and get on another diet plan. You have no time for Mikey A. You got a family and you got like 9 jobs.
You're right, and I don't really want to be coaching him when I'm working out anyways, and I don't want to be talking and doing all that. It's like my workout's me time. So you're right. I rescind that invitation till maybe after the season, and then we'll dive back into that again.
But Billy, you're saying of the four of us,
offer.
you're saying of the 4 of us, Mikey A has sustained the worst injury of any of us, correct?
That's what I was saying. But by the way, don't buy this Chris Sims bluff, because last year he said, like, yeah, you know, in the offseason come, I'll break down tape with you. We'll walk through all this. And I didn't hear from him ever again.
Billy, he said you're working on it. You're working the wrong way.
Either, Billy.
I invited you to Miami. I said, bring Kyle with you. We'll do a 2-week seminar here. And you said, no, you scoffed at me.
Well, you did. That was like loose on TV. You never followed up.
Well, of course not.
You know, that's
Right.
That's
Now,
weak
Sims is
sauce.
right about this. Anything said on camera, they're loose plans. Okay?
Yes. You got to follow up and be more official than that. That's for sure.
It is so great. Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio every day on Peacock. He's chugging protein again. The Unbuttoned Podcast, Football Night in America. Got a game Thursday night and Sunday night this week. Billy and I and Mikey were laughing a little bit because you had spent some time. Now, last year, I believe you spent some time with Trevor Lawrence, maybe Josh Allen as well.
Right.
This year, you spent some time with Patrick Mahomes. You want to hear about that, but Billy, go ahead. Tell Sims what you were telling me before he came on.
Well, no, we were talking, and I was saying I'm curious to see how high he might be on Patrick Mahomes now, as opposed to Trevor Lawrence, who he was all about last year because of your interaction at the Hall of Fame game. Very high on Trevor Lawrence, but now that you had extended time with Patrick Mahomes, if things maybe flipped a little bit here.
Well, I've always been high on Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on.
Should have just stopped at high.
Yeah. Yes, both. I've been high and been high on Patrick Mahomes. Okay,
Yeah.
but I really no. In all seriousness, I love hanging out with these guys. I do. You know, I've been around quarterbacks my whole life. I love these new wave of guys. Right. You know, last year, I was singing Lawrence's praise. That was preseason when I saw him in the Hall of Fame. It was before the playoff game when I did the interview. So that was a good chance for me to get to know the guy. Mahomes, like I knew Mahomes a little bit. We have some common friends, and he is aware that I was like the guy that pubbed him big time coming out, you know, out of Texas Tech. But we had never done anything professional, and it was cool to do it. He's, hey, listen, like I say to a lot of people. I mean, him, Josh Allen, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence. It's just on a personal level, it's hard because they're so awesome, and you want to root for all of them, really. And they're not only awesome talents, but awesome people too.
What'd you learn about Patrick that you didn't know going in?
You know, I think the big thing with him, and I encourage anybody to check it out on, you know, anything NBC Sports or my YouTube page or whatever. But and you'll see some of it on the Football Night in America pregame show Thursday night. But I think the cool thing that I always wanted, and I wish I had more time to unpack it, was, you know, 98% of the time, NFL football players tell themselves they're going to be NFL football players from like 8 years old on, right? And his is different, where here it is, the best football player in all the world right now. And I kind of went in and like 10 years old. What were you? It was like I was going to be a pro baseball player and then a pro basketball player. Like that's what I was going to be. Right. So that to me was the cool thing, where it really wasn't on his radar at all. And then, of course, gets to high school, has a special arm. They know that. And then, you know, most colleges wanted him as a safety. Right. You think they misevaluated him a little bit. Right. Texas Tech was the only one that really was going to give him a chance to play quarterback. And that's why he ended up there.
And some of that's going to air Thursday night, correct?
Yep. You'll see 2 different segments Thursday night. And then you can get the full interview on, you know, the NBC Sports page.
We'll get to the Dolphins. We'll get to the Jets. We'll get to Tua at the very end of this. Billy wants to get to it now. We'll get to it at the end, though. Sims, I am wondering here, the quarterback that you think, that Chris Sims thinks is going to make the biggest leap this year. Who would that guy be?
No, the leap. Yeah.
The leap year.
Let me see. Yeah. I think it's pretty apparent to me. Okay. And I had to pick my playoff teams last week on my podcast and all that. It's Kenny Pickett, right? I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to go to the playoffs over the Buffalo Bills. I can't believe I did that. But, you know, the AFC's deep. You guys know there's always a few changing parts in the playoff conversation every year. There's always a few new teams to the party. And I thought that really Pittsburgh was the most impressive team I watched on film throughout preseason. And Pickett and that number one offense in Pittsburgh, they were phenomenal. Not only did he look phenomenal, great decisions, great throws. They got some talent around them. They got that O-line fixed there a little bit. I think Pittsburgh and Pickett are going to kind of show some people and jump on the scene in a big way this year.
Why do you think people have gotten off the Bills high so quickly after last season? Because obviously the Jets and the Dolphins made improvements in their division, but it seems like you don't have them making the playoffs. The NFC East in general is wild, right? Where it seems like between three teams, any two of them could get in. Some people have the Dolphins in the Super Bowl. Some have them missing the playoffs. You have them winning the division. You have the Bills missing the playoffs. So the Bills in particular, I guess, what for you has changed that you're a little bit down on them?
Yeah, right. And, I mean, one, you said a lot of right things there, Billy. I mean, again, that was a tough one. And I was literally sitting there in the last preseason game kind of knowing I might not pick them and going, man, I was watching Josh Allen make these throws. And I'm going, am I really going to pick this guy not to go to the playoffs, right? So it's scary. But you're going to have to leave some teams out like that. And I think you said it right. The division's amazing. And I think, unequivocally, no doubt about it, on paper, the Dolphins and Jets roster is better than Buffalo. So that's the first thing. New England, I know you mentioned them a little bit. New England, I mean, damn, they got some things I like about their football team. Would I be shocked if they were a team that ended up in the playoffs? I wouldn't. So that's how good the AFC East is. But my reason I would say more than anything, and you've heard this from me, Billy and guys, one, there's too much on Josh Allen there, right? It's as he goes, they go. And that's just not realistic to go to a Super Bowl or deep into the playoffs that way. And this is things I know, people up there have told me those are the feelings there. If Josh Allen doesn't play good, we don't know if we can win, right? So, I don't love that. But then I would say, too, didn't do a whole lot to improve their team in the offseason. O-line's the same for the most part. They drafted Dalton Kincaid. They got Leonard Floyd, right? And Billy, I'm a little bit of I think they missed their window. I think they missed their window a little bit last year, the year before when they lost that heartbreaker with the last 13 seconds of the game. The year before that, they were in the AFC Championship game. So I'm kind of playing those law of averages as well, let alone compared to the Dolphins, like you mentioned, the Jets, like you mentioned, the Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Ravens, the Chargers. They don't have the star power, the players that those teams have to, make exceptional things happen is what you need when it, becomes big time football against playoff caliber teams.
The thing that's interesting, I guess, about the AFC East is that they missed maybe that initial window, right? The Bills, but long term, they're probably in a better position because the Dolphins and the Jets both have small windows right now with what they can do with the personnel that they have and with the salary cap that they have to go against. Where if you have Josh Allen, you can build around him maybe 2-3 years down the road and still be in a good spot.
Look at would you get smart all of a sudden over the break? What the hell did you do? But you're right. You're exactly right. The Dolphins and Jets, they got, hopefully they can do it long term. But to your point, they got a lot of stars and a lot of people that they got coming up that you're going to go, whoa, they're going to have to pay them big money in the next 2 or 3 years, right? Now, I think the Bills need to be a little bit more aggressive. But your thought in the big picture, yeah. I'm picking them to not go to the playoffs, and I'm talking barely miss and they lose a tiebreaker, right, to somebody like that.
You're also not going to be shocked if they get in, Chris.
No, exactly right. Exactly right. And that, Billy, to your point, and this is where I've argued with my co-host Florio a little bit, even if they don't go to the playoffs, it's not fire Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane. I don't think that at all. I think they're exceptional. I think, listen, it's like we said, the lifeline of this team is kind of coming to an end. Let them rebuild it again. They've been close. They've been really good. Let's not forget they've been really good knocking on the doorstep against one of the best teams we've seen over the last 23 years, too. And with a quarterback that we've never seen. And they got a quarterback that's what? Screw you. I'll go toe-to-toe with you any day. So, yeah, they're in this for the long haul. I just don't know if I see it this year necessarily.
Chris, in an odd way, does Lamar Jackson have more pressure on him this year than he's ever had?
I think so. I do. Yeah. I think between the money and then the weapons around him and then an offensive coordinator who's we hear is empowering him. They're going to play around him a little bit more. They're giving him more freedom and checks and all that. So, yes, there's not going to be the excuse anymore of, oh, they're just a running team and they're kind of a basic pass team, where a lot of that wasn't, Lamar's fault that they were like that, just the way they were built. That's not the way now. And yeah, I think we all expect to see some better results statistically on the field, all of that because of all the things I just said.
What happened with your boy Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance? What happened there? How did it go wrong? Where did it go wrong?
Well, I mean, where did it go wrong? I mean, it went wrong on draft night on pick number 3. That's where it went wrong. I mean, at least in my opinion,
Yeah.
I always thought Mac Jones was going to go there. I thought Mac Jones was his kind of guy, right? He, for whatever reasons, I think because of social pressure within his organization, coaches of his in other places, he was maybe trying to look like maybe I need a change up for my offense. I just think he kind of went against his core values at the position, and it came back to bite him in the butt. Now, I'm never going to be mad at anybody for like swinging for the fences for a guy that they think can, make them a Super Bowl team or a dynasty or whatever. I'm never mad at that. But yeah, I think, then there was the pressure of the situation. And then all the things we talked about. He hadn't played very much, and then here we are 3 years later, and he still hasn't played very much. And I think ultimately where I come to Trey Lance, and I hope he can buck this trend, is that he's a athlete who plays quarterback instead of a quarterback who's an athlete, right? Allen and Mahomes and Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, they're quarterbacks who are good athletes. I feel like Trey Lance is a free safety that was like, wait, I can throw it hard, so let me just try to play quarterback. And since he was fast and had a strong arm, somebody gave him the chance to do that. But I don't know if natural quarterbacking is really in him.
So not that he has told you that or you've had the conversations, but you think he was never really his guy. He was kind of talked into him being his guy, possibly?
Yes. Yeah. I think in revisionist history, from things I've heard from different people connected to the situation, all that, I still think when he made that trade, he made the trade to get Mac Jones. And then somewhere in between, whether it was all the social media memes with Mac Jones with their shirt off, right? And everybody was like, you're going to draft him over Justin Fields and Trey Lance? Oh my gosh. I think between that and the backlash and the fact that the 49ers fan base was literally saying they were going to have I don't want to they were going to picket or strike if they took Mac Jones.
Yes.
Right.
Across the picket line. Yes.
Across the picket line.
Penny
right.
picket.
I think there was people in his organization that did love Trey Lance too, to where I think all of that, as it got closer and closer, just made him pump the brakes a little bit on Mac Jones. And one thing too, Stugotz, before you just say this, I always know this bothered Shanahan, and I can't help to think, connecting dots of my friend over the years. I know when Brian Griese took over for John Elway, right? There was just this negativity around it. And Brian Griese actually played pretty good football.
He did.
But because there was this already preordained negativity around him, nobody could really ever see it. And I know in Shanahan, I bet you he was a little scared of that too, that the kid, if he drafted Mac Jones, he wouldn't be given a fair chance to succeed because of all the pressures we talked about.
Billy and Chris, I'll tell you the other reason that he kind of gets a pass on Trey Lance is he found Brock Purdy, and he found him late in the draft, right? I mean, Chris, that's part of it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, he gets a pass, I know, because I think people have been mad at me. They're like, you're not hard enough on him because you're your friend. And I want to go, no, I speak quite openly about it all the time and always say he should have took Mac Jones. You're wrong in that. All right. He also gets a pass because, wait, let me think. They've been in the NFC Championship game 3 of the last 4 years. So yeah, it gets a fucking pass because of it.
Yeah, man.
What is the coolest thing in 2 Chainz' house? What is the coolest thing? If you could only show off one item, okay? You were giving me a tour of the house. You could only show me one thing. What's the thing you're proudest of?
Hands down, my fish tank. I have a huge fish tank. That the actual, you remember the old show that was called Tank? They actually did my tank at home, and it's so big that in order to clean it, they have to jump in it, to put on full scuba diving gear and go in and clean off a lot of the green stuff that builds up over time. So I think about my house, I appreciate the huge tank in the front with the lights. It has the background of Atlanta like staged in it, and the fish kind of do their thing. And I have some very colorful fish. I've lost a couple of blowfish, and they're very intelligent. And that kind of hurt my feelings. I had a little buddy that I lost, but my kids love it. I love it, and it's one of the main attractions of my current place.
2 Chainz, I was a big fan of, and I was sad to see it go, but glad to find out that it came back. Your show, Most Expensivest. So what is, I guess, one of the more ridiculous things from Most Expensivest that you can remember highlighting? So guys, for those who don't know, Most Expensivest is almost like a modern day lifestyles of the rich and famous. And you even have Robin Leach on an episode.
We should just talk about that episode, because rest in peace to Robin. He is someone that actually, I want to say, started the idea of traveling and exposing people to how the rich live and what the rich have. And I had him on the show in Vegas. I think we got to know each other fairly quickly. It was a little small language barrier because I'm from the South and he's like this England guy, but he is very intelligent. And my show, I consider, which is the most expensive, has some of his DNA in it, right? Because I'm going around and I'm asking people, why are you into this, and why does it cost so much, and where did the love come from? And for the show to be so successful, it's based off improv. It's based off me meeting someone for the first time and they have something interesting and I ask questions. So the show's been doing good. They just finished showing season 4, so we'll be shooting season 5. And if you haven't had a chance to check it out, make sure you check it out. It's crazy. It's phenomenal. And I'm your host.
All right, we're promoting the wrong show, though, because Amazon Music Live Season 2 debuts September 21st. It's after Thursday Night Football. So tell us about that show.
Now, that's the biggest thing really on my menu in my lap right now. Amazon Music and myself have a great rapport together. They've supported me with a lot of my projects, with a lot of my endeavors, period. And so last year was my first year hosting. Had great artists perform, one of them being my brother Lil Wayne. We had Kane Brown. We had different genres of music, Unwell, and I think that this year is going to be even more exciting. We did a little tweaking, but it's just about me coming, being, who I am. I'm a sports lover. I'm a kind of like the people's choice. If I want to not brag on myself that much, but I consider myself someone that's very transparent, someone that's, inspirational. So you combine those talents with the platform that Amazon Music has. And, Thursday nights I'll be in living rooms across, the country. You'll turn to Prime and you'll see awesome musical talent grace the stage, and I'll be right beside them. So it's a blessing.
You have a pretty good lead in there. I mean, the NFL,
Yeah. Well, I have a couple, I'm from Atlanta, so, I was, born a Falcons fan. Can't get away from that. But, as I got older,
Are you trying to get away from that?
Nah, I actually think that we're going to do better than we've done in a while this year. For some reason, the preseason game, we're not talking about that, but I feel a little bit better about going into the season with my Falcons. But rest in peace to my dad. He was a Joe Montana fan, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Ronnie Lott. I think where I'm going, with that. So I have a little piece of love for that in my DNA, and if I had to pick, I definitely would want the Falcons to win the whole thing. Actually went to the Super Bowl when we were up Don't want to talk about that.
Oh, the Matt Ryan Super Bowl. Oh God.
I was there, and that's what I can say about social media. People say a lot about social media, but you have to be careful because it was a time where I was just bragging and talking a lot of trash, and man, that second half, my whole face, it's crazy. My whole face changed, man.
What's the post? Like, do you remember the post that you regret the most? Like, you had to send something out at halftime, right? Like
No, this is the craziest part. I forgot how I got my tickets, but I wasn't on the Falcons side, so I was on the Patriots side. So I was one of those people that was like, yeah, what now?
To all the Patriots fans.
And then I started like.
Sinking in your chair.
Then I was like, I'm about to go to the bathroom and never come back. It was just like that. So
because Boston fans must have been really nice in the second half when they were coming back, right?
Oh man, that was. If I had to think of one of my sports moments, and I have sports moments, being actually at that game from beginning to end was one of the biggest emotional roller coasters I ever been a part of.
2 Chainz is with us. He's great. Amazon Music Live Season 2 debuts September 21st, right after Thursday Night Football. We'll talk more about that in just a second. So do you text Dion after the game? Congratulate him? How does that work?
So with me, when anytime something that happens good in someone's life or bad in someone's life, I wait 3 or 4 days before my text goes through because I know when that happens to me, my phone, I have so many texts. Sometimes I can't reply or respond, and so I'll wait a couple of days before I send out the congratulations, and it'll be a swift response instead of knowing someone is busy and dealing with a lot of. I know his phone probably blew up. I'm promise you, his phone probably had over 100 texts.
Right. Yeah. So we're 3 days out right now. I'm tempted to ask you just to reach out to him right now, invite him into the Zoom. I mean,
wow.
Nah, I don't even have my. I don't have a. The proper etiquette while doing an interview is no gum and no phones, guys. I thought we taught you. Y'all are at home. I taught y'all that.
How about we go fishing? Me, the 3 of us, you and Dion. Good.
There you go.
Hey, y'all, listen.
Lake Qatar.
These are supposed to be 2 different.
You're right.
Fishing.
You're right.
You're right.
You're right. You're right. I apologize. I'm getting carried away.
I like how you just
you're right. I should
merged
not
over my.
I pigeonholed Dion.
It's about time someone called him on it, James. It's about time.
2 Chainz. You called me out. And you're right. I apologize. Okay, just the 4 of us. All right, no Dion.
Just the 4 of us. I go for that.
I love that. Amazon Music Live Season 2 debut September 21st, Thursday night, right after Thursday Night Football. Dion's the best athlete you've ever seen, correct? Best athlete?
Dion?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dion is the best athlete, I think, when you think about it. But
better than Vic?
I'm better than Vic.
Ooh, Michael Vick was good. 2 Chainz. Michael Vick was a good athlete.
No, we're not. We're just talking about because Dion played two sports, obviously.
Yeah,
right.
And also, I was gonna say that's what I was about to say. Bo Jackson. I've been around to obviously see Bo Jackson pre-hip and post-hip injury.
Crazy.
And I'm sure we've all seen him climb a wall and hear him talk about running like a deer and all of this stuff. So Bo Jackson. He went to Auburn, which is Alabama and Georgia, like cousins, so to speak. So for the most part, but just that was a little earlier. By Dion being in Atlanta, I was able to see him more. So I would have to say, prime.
Amazon Music Live Season 2 debuts September 21st after Thursday Night Football. I want to promote it and talk about it one more time on the way out here. But before we do that, I got a handful of games. You want to pick some games for us? Come on, man.
Getting in the mindset.
If you have a winning week, I'm just going to tell you before you give your answer, if you have a winning week, then I'm going to ask you to come back next week. That's the way it works on our show.
Come on with it. Let's go.
Yes. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with the Falcon game. The Panthers are taking on the Falcons. Okay. Panthers are plus 3.5. Falcons are favored by 3.5 points. 2 Chainz, who you taking?
I like the Falcons.
All right, so Falcons minus 3.5. Georgia, this is a ridiculous line. Billy picked this game. I don't know. Why am I blaming and lashing out at Billy? Georgia, 42.5 points. They're taking on Ball State. Who you got? Ball State.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Who I got?
You want a different game? You got Georgia.
That's not fair. You know I'm going with Georgia. I don't give a there's no way around
But
that.
you don't like laying 42.5.
I think I think Georgia's going to win the whole thing. I understand. I do.
Okay. Colorado, your boy Dion, -3, taking on Nebraska.
We're going
to take Colorado.
First home game, I'm going with Colorado, baby.
All right. You're going out there, aren't you? You're going to Boulder for a game.
I'm trying to. I'm trying. I have a birthday party coming up, so I'm just trying to figure out things. But maybe if I don't make it this one, I'm going to try to make it to the next game.
What are you doing for the birthday?
I'm going to have a party back home in Atlanta where we dress up in a 70s theme, and I pull up in my 72 Chevelle with the top drop and I will get out with my bell bottoms on, my patched up vest, you know. I may or may not have a scarf, big glasses, wife next to me, a bunch of extracurricular activities that I, don't need to mention right now. Good music. Yeah. A long night ahead of us.
Happy birthday to you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Shout out to feel free to invite us. I mean, if you want to, if you just,
I will.
Since we're vibing so well together, all of us,
Yeah.
We've quickly became BFFs. I see on this.
All right, so you have the Falcons, you have Georgia, you have Colorado. So the last two, and these are important to us. Okay, so we're down in Miami. Okay, South Beach. So Dolphins at Chargers. Billy is a big Dolphin fan. I'll get to the Jets in a second. Okay. Dolphins at Chargers. Chargers are favored by 3.5 points.
I like the Dolphins.
Oh, there you go.
I actually really like the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
They got some weapons on their team.
Yeah,
and they have a very, very accurate quarterback. And Ramsey, I think is he still hurt or something?
Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, he might miss a game or two here.
Might miss a game or two. I think they did very well. In the offseason with some, of course, Tyreek is down there, a real cheetah. They got a couple cheetahs and panthers on offense. So
Waddle too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think San Diego, they're not exactly a scrub, but I got the Dolphins for sure. I'm with you guys on this one.
All right, I love it. And then last one, and we'll get you out of here. We'll promote the show and get you out of here. Bills at Jets. Jets are 2.5-point underdogs. So the Bills are favored by 2.5. What do you got? Me and Mikey are Jet fans, if it means anything to you.
Yeah, I think. You know what? Aaron is someone that might lose 4 games and tell everybody, just chill out. Everything's going to be okay. It's just you guys are overreacting. So I'm going to go with that, Aaron, for the first, especially against the Bills. I think I'm going to go with the Bills that game. And I feel like, Aaron to get up there and say, you guys just calm down. We're going to get it together very soon. And so that's my answer, the Bills for that week.
All right. Hey, we appreciate you and your time. Happy birthday, by the way. Amazon Music Live Season 2, September 21st, after Thursday Night Football. Tell people why they should watch, 2 Chainz. Tell them why they need to watch.
I think it's a great extension of entertainment after the game. It deals with some of the biggest artists in the world. Obviously, I'm your host. I think merging music with sports is just a natural habitat that we all do. A lot of the athletes, of course, warm up and train the music. A lot of the musicians, we actually watch sports the whole time we're in the studio. So I feel like, turning to prime after Thursday Night Football would be, a great thing to do. What else are you doing on a Thursday besides receiving one of the best performances ever? Because these guys and girls are bringing their A game. And if I were you, I would keep it locked. Amazon Music Live, your host, 2 Chainz.
You are great, man. We appreciate the time. This was a lot of fun for us. We hope you enjoyed it, but you are great, man. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, and we'll get to this week's edition of Stugotz here in just a second. Billy, do we have the last 2 years we have done God Bless Football, we have had weekly fantasy games. with the listeners here of God Bless Football and the Le Batard Show. Are we doing that again this year?
We are. So there's a lot going on we haven't gotten to yet. Go to dkng.co/LeBatard. You can join the Le Batard and Friends League. Every week we will be having a weekly fantasy contest there. So do that now if you'd like to compete against us in fantasy on DraftKings.
All right. Sounds good. Let's get to this week's edition of Stugotz. It is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use code STU for a special offer when you sign up. That's code STU only at DraftKings Sportsbook. 4-3 last week, 6-6 on the season thus far in college football. We have a full slate of college football action this weekend, and of course, opening weekend of the NFL. So I have like 15 games for you.
You better get to them quick because you're doing a lot of introduction on the front end about how great you are.
All right, let's get to them. Notre Dame plus 7.5. They're minus 7.5. They're on the road taking on NC State in Raleigh. They're finally playing a decent team. I want you to buy it up a half point to plus 8. Take NC State, the Wolfpack. They will cover the spread. What's the matter, Billy? Faster?
Yeah, keep it going.
All right, Colorado, I am buying in on Deion Sanders and his son. They are minus 3 at home, taking on Nebraska. Buy it down a half point to 2.5. You take Colorado, the Buffs. They win, they cover. Tulane, plus 7.5. They're taking on Mississippi. I rode the green wave last week. I'm riding them again this week. Buy it up to plus 8. Take Tulane. They win the game outright. Why am I buying a half point? Miami, minus 4 against Texas A&M at home. Are the Canes back? They are back. The Canes win. They cover. They beat Texas A&M, the Aggies, by 10 points. I'm going to Boca Raton, Billy. FAU, minus 3.5. They're taking on Ohio. Buy it down a half point to minus 3. Take the Owls. They win by 10 points at home. The big game of the weekend, Texas plus 7.5 at Alabama. Texas wins the game outright. How about that? Chris Sims is a happy man. Texas wins the game by 3. They cover the spread. We go to Oregon. They're taking on Texas Tech. Bo Nix. The Bo Nix at Oregon is a totally different Bo Nix than the one at Auburn, meaning he's good at Oregon. Minus 6 at home against Texas Tech. Oregon wins by 12 points. They cover the spread. Washington State. Plus 6, taking on Wisconsin. Wisconsin has no right being favored by 6 points over anyone on the road. Washington State, they cover the spread. They win the game. They win it by a field goal. By the way, if you're interested in attending any of those games, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code GBF for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Billy, how much time do I have? NFL right now.
90 seconds.
I have 90 seconds for the NFL. All right, here we go. Vikings, minus 6. They're taking on the Bucks. I'm taking the Vikings. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins. They win by 10 points at home. What's the matter?
You didn't need to say Kirk Cousins had added.
I had to.
No.
It lends something to it. It does.
Okay, hurry up.
All right. Baltimore, minus 10. They're taking on the Texans. CJ Stroud, first road game, first start in the NFL, goes on the road to Baltimore, tough place. Baltimore wins. They cover the spread. They win by 14 points. Jacksonville, they're hosting the AFC Championship game, according to Chris Sims, I think. They are minus 5 at Indianapolis. Jacksonville, they win. They cover. They win by 10 points. The Commanders, minus 7 against Arizona. Arizona, dreadful. So are the Commanders, just not as bad as Arizona. Buy it down a half point to minus 6.5. The Commanders win by 10. Eagles, minus 4 at the Patriots. Eagles win by 14 points on the road. Bears, minus 1, Justin Fields. At home against the Packers. Had to say Justin Fields. They play at Soldier Field. How about that? Couple of Fields cutting it up. The Bears win by 4 points over Jordan Love and the Packers. The Broncos, minus 3.5, taking on the Raiders. Buy a half point down to minus 3. Russell Wilson has played himself out of the Hall of Fame. Sean Payton might coach him back into the Hall of Fame. The Broncos win by 8 points at home. And finally, Sunday Night Football, Giants, plus 4. They're taking on the Cowboys. Cowboys win the game. The Giants cover, though. Cowboys win by a point. How about that with the Giants cover? Those are the picks this week. I'm going 16-0, 8-0 in college, 8-0 in the NFL. If you want to go to any of these games, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code GBF for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. How about that, Billy?
Good enough.